Hi everyone, today we have lovely Simone Khambata with us. Your aging is only measured in how much muscle you have.
I feel like literally as I turned 40, which was in December, I suddenly started getting like massive breakouts on my face. So you mentioned about insulin resistance. What is that?
You know, you would get your periods by the clock on the date, but after 40 it wavers a bit because there are hormonal changes.
So, okay, very important point. Bovine collagen or marine collagen?
Of course, you've heard about this trend, veganism.
Yeah.
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 Someone's like, oh, you're perimenopause. I'm like, what? I'm like, no, I'm not. You menopause at 50. They're like, yeah, but you perimenopause from 38 also maybe.
Yeah. Then also we need to save ourselves from osteoporosis. I would ideally take my breakfast as one whole egg and one white.
Longer periods of IF kill bad cells.
But intermittent can actually be very, very harmful for you.
I think everybody has a relationship with ChatGPT now. To a point where people are actually going and attempting to make diet plans, food plans, meal plans, etc. on ChatGPT.
So this gentleman came to me and she said, you can't have alcohol and you can't have non-veg. I need to have both and I want to get rid of my fatty liver.
I love it.
So let's talk about vitamin D and B12. So the message to other women is that to work out minimum
4 days a week.
4 days a week,
4 days a week, guys.
Hi everyone. Today we have lovely Simone Khambata with us, and I've heard so much about her. I had an opportunity to meet her for one of the wellness talk, and I was highly impressed by her. She's so young and beautiful, and turning 40 or just turned 40, Simone.
Just turned 40.
Oh my God! So this talk is all about 40 plus. Women who have turned 40 and what are the challenges they're going to face in their health, in hormones, in social life, in careers, etc. We are going to discuss all of that. So here, Simone, please tell us something about yourself.
Firstly, Suman, thank you for the wonderful introduction. It's an absolute honor to be here with you. You are, I mean, honestly, I was like, wait, this is epic. Like, one of the biggest nutritionists in the country wants to talk to me. Wow. That was kind of validation that I'm doing something right. So thank you for having me. I'm Simone Khambata, guys. I'm a mom of two. I am a content creator. And I just turned 40. And when you turn 40, things change in your body overnight. They really do. Or at least you believe they do. And here I am with someone. And we're going to have a wonderful chat. And I'm going to learn so much about the decade that's to come.
Yes. So let's talk about, what I hear that I know as a nutritionist, after 40, things really change in our body and actually starts at the age of 35. The bone loss starts at the age of 35 and whatever our body starts whispering to us, okay? And if we don't pay attention, then it starts screaming. What's your take about it? And of course, you just turned 40, so you won't know much about it. But yeah, what are you waiting for? What have you read?
So, I mean, I'm not waiting for anything. And because of that, I mean, like, as lax as I was about working out, because I mean, I'm really blessed with great genes and I took for granted a lot of things. Of course, I have worked out through my life, but, right before a beach holiday, I would go crazy in the gym for 2 months. And then the 2 months after that, I'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Okay.
But now I can tell the difference in my body. I can tell the difference in the metabolism as much as I don't want to admit it. And I can tell the difference in the muscle loss, like you said. And so I am pushing myself every day and psyching myself out that gone are the days where you can go to the gym for 3 months in a year. You're going to have to go to the gym 3 times a week for the rest of your life. And that's just how it is. I've convinced myself.
Yes, so I agree that we have to go to the gym, period, okay? Now you are saying 3 days in a week. I think all of us need it on a daily basis.
Oh, God.
So this is what I regret. Of course, I'm above 40, much above 40. That's one regret I have, that I haven't worked out enough when I was 40.
Okay.
Yeah. Our body starts losing muscle at a very fast rate after 40, at a slow rate after 40, and after 50, a very fast rate. So if you build enough muscle, so after 50, you're quite safe.
Right.
Yeah. Every day you don't work out. Every day you don't, like basic exercise, maybe just like a walk, jog, or a swim, or like Pilates, or yoga, or 20 minutes power workout. If you don't do, your body is losing muscle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Great.
So that's
So
what
I need to
have seen.
convince myself to now go every day.
Yes.
As of now, it's 3 times a week strength training and once a week Pilates, which for me is a huge stretch already, but I'm doing it. But I see your point.
No, other 3 days you can maybe add some cardio.
Okay.
Yeah, like maybe cross trainer or maybe just walk jog for 30 minutes. That would be great. That's what my
That's
advice
easy to
would
do.
be.
That's easy to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
But trust me, I meet so many 40 plus women. They are not doing as much as you can. You are doing literally 4 days of exercise and you're trying to do it, but other women are not doing that much. So the message to other women is that to work out minimum
4 days a week.
4 days a week,
4 days a week, guys.
Yes.
I also feel like, I mean, at least for me, I hope to God that I follow through. Like in my 20s, for instance, if people gave me advice, like use sunscreen every day, I didn't. I thought sunscreen is going to stop me from getting a tan. And when you go to the beach and you don't come back with tan lines, then did you even go to the beach?
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't need sunscreen. But now that I'm 40, in my 40s, I have already decided that whatever advice I get from professionals, I need to imbibe that into my daily life. And I guess that's the difference in the maturity levels between the 20s and now.
And that, yeah, of course. So we spoke about fit body, and of course we need workout. And what about hormones? Are you feeling any changes in your hormone at this time?
Yes. One, I am hypothyroid, which a lot of people get very confused about because they're like, you are so thin. How can you have hypothyroid? You are wrong. You have hyper. I'm like, no, I'm hypo.
Yeah, because we can see how slim and fit you are.
But thank God, whatever it is, it's working. But that definitely does cause an up and down sometimes. Plus, of course, I feel like literally as I turned 40, which was in December, I suddenly started getting like massive breakouts on my face, which I haven't had in 8 years. Like since I became a mom, I've had no acne. But suddenly, no matter what, actually even before I turned 40, like 2 months heading towards 40, every period, before the period, after the period, I was like, it was here, then suddenly it would come here, then next thing I know it's here. I'm like, what's going on? Again, I figured that I cannot be eating the way I ate in my 30s anymore. And yeah.
So you need to be careful about what you put in your body.
Oh man, life was so much easier in our 20s.
Yeah, anything which is extra spicy or fried will give you a breakout. Yeah, or very, very fatty food or junk food will give you a breakout. And it also, I think what I have seen that there is a shift in our hormone. So, you would get your periods by the clock on the date, but after 40, it wavers a bit because there are hormonal changes after you turn 40. So our body, people always think that, oh, we are aging. We don't know what are the signs of aging in so much detail as we would know how a child is going to behave when they turn 6 months or 9 months or a year or 2 years. We know exactly what is child going to behave. But we don't have that booklet for 40 plus or 50 plus or 60 plus.
Well, I mean, I feel like our generation is so blessed because of the internet in one huge way. We get to see videos like this, right? Because I feel like my mom and her friends, they never knew what perimenopause is or what, they just knew period, menopause.
Yeah.
But perimenopause and all the information that we're being loaded with right now, someone's like, oh, you're perimenopause. I'm like, what? I'm like, no, I'm not. You menopause at 50. They're like, yeah, but you perimenopause from 38 also maybe.
Yes.
And I'm
We
like,
start having some hormonal imbalances. That's what is so your periods are shifting. Sometimes you have bouts of huge bleeding. All those things happen after
huge.
40.
And my period pain has gone up tenfold. I mean, I always had cramps. I've never had PCOS or PCOD, but my cramps have always been pathetic my whole life. But now it's really bad. It's like agony on days, on day 1 and day 2. I'm like, what's going on?
So that is one. The skin may go through little bit upheaval.
The skin is going through many upheavals.
And second is your periods may not be as regular. And how about mood swings?
So luckily my periods are regular. I also have an app that tracks my periods, so I know when my period is due. So it comes on time. Luckily that aspect is fine. Sorry, what did you?
Yeah. So besides, periods are regular and skin, and the signs of any aches and pains are like accentuated.
Oh, fully. And also like my knee, suddenly, I'm like in the gym doing a deadlift And suddenly I'm hearing this creaking happening in my right knee. I'm like, dude, what's going on? I thought maybe I pulled something. And then I went and did an x-ray and all of that. And my doctor's like, yeah, some osteo something. I was like, wait, what is going on? He's like, you're getting older. I'm like, this is not happening.
Yeah, so I'll tell you one experience. So I suddenly, I don't know which year, between 40 and 50, I started getting a back stiffness. I said, what is this back stiffness? I never had it. I do everything right. I'm working out and I'm swimming. And he said, yeah, you're aging. I said, what? Yeah, so there are aches and pains which are unexplained or
Yeah.
not felt before, which become a part of you and you live with it.
Yeah, recovery takes that much longer. Recovery after a night of drinking takes that much longer. My God, it's like I don't want to drink. I'm like, this is taking me 5 days to come back to normal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So your gut becomes weak. So your joints are a little creaky, and you may have stiffness in our body unless you do smart movements and exercise and stretching and maybe resistance training. Then also we need to save ourselves from osteoporosis. So you know what is that bone thinning? Basically, the bones become osteoporotic, where we lose calcium from our bones. Okay, and of course you've heard about this trend, veganism.
Yeah.
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 So a lot of women are going vegan. We know bones are made from minerals, and important one is calcium and magnesium. What is the highest absorbable form of calcium? Which is the food has the highest absorbable form of calcium?
I guess dairy.
Exactly, right? And vegan, do they have dairy? No. So
But then what's up with all these sportsmen, biggest football players, cricketers and whatnot, screaming about veganism? Because
Yeah.
they're playing sport and then they're influencing the rest of the world that
yeah. So
vegan is the way to go. I'm not vegan. I love cheese.
Yes.
I love cheese. I can't live without cheese.
So, as a nutritionist, if I'm making a diet for below 40, like maybe a 30 or the one woman who's not pregnant or lactating, I might give lesser dairy and other form of proteins, but stick to a first class protein like egg or chicken or fish. And vegetarian first class protein is only dairy. There's nothing else. No soy, nothing has first class protein. So I might give lesser dairy, but every woman above the age of 40, I would give little more dairy, only for the reason so that they have good quality calcium getting absorbed in their
So
bloodstream.
does that dairy have to be paneer or can it be just me using ghee in my dal when I'm eating it or using ghee for whatever I need to, having dahi, or does it have to be paneer?
No, so ghee has no dairy. Ghee has only saturated fats,
Right.
which are also important because in vegetarian diet, only milk and milk products.
Sorry, I have to stop you here. Did you guys know that ghee doesn't have dairy? I mean, don't all of us believe that ghee equals dairy? Wow, that's another great learning today. Amazing. Okay.
So ghee is from dairy but doesn't have calcium. It doesn't have protein and it doesn't have calcium and it doesn't have first class protein, no amino acids. It is only saturated fat. So this fat is also very important for us because any milk protein has saturated fats, but only milk protein has cholesterol in vegetarian diet. Nothing else has cholesterol. Can you imagine? People think, okay, coconut can have cholesterol. Okay, any oil can have cholesterol. Coconut oil will have, but nothing has cholesterol but milk, which is ghee. Now, why cholesterol is important? Because for certain brain functioning, cholesterol is very important. By the way, a child's brain, when either the mother is pregnant or lactating, only cholesterol is one of the ingredients for brain development of the baby.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the non-vegetarians get it from chicken and eggs.
Correct.
Because, you know, the yolk is full of cholesterol. But vegetarian only get it from ghee or hidden fat in milk or hidden fat in yogurt or hidden fat in paneer. Now, coming back to your calcium question, since calcium is not present in ghee, content of calcium in curd as compared to milk is higher. So if milk has, say, 120 mg of calcium per 100 ml, curd will have 20 mg more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that is the difference between, because of the bacterial growth in curd, calcium content goes higher. Now, why the milk protein has the highest absorbable form of calcium? Because the presence of vitamin D. India. So these are the reason, and of course, milk itself is very, very highly absorbable in calcium. Milk as a protein or as a food. So that is why I give more milk protein. And of course, a lot of ladies can't digest milk because it has lactose. But
Right.
paneer and curd are easily digestible form of milk protein, and they can have even if they're lactose intolerant. So I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh, wow. No
Yeah,
way.
there's a long story behind why I became lactose. Yeah. Let's stick to the thing that, okay, I'm lactose intolerant, but I can digest paneer and yogurt easily. So
Awesome.
people out there who have lactose intolerance can try paneer and dahi or lactose-free milk.
Interesting.
Now India has.
Yes.
Yes.
You just mentioned something about egg yolks and egg yolks being high in cholesterol versus the egg white. Now, a lot of people. Okay, I'm going to ask you two questions. We understand that eggs are great for health for whoever can consume them as per their non-vegetarian diet or eggitarians as they call them. Me. I'm a vegetarian, but I consume eggs. I call myself an eggitarian.
Eggitarian.
Yeah. But I'm also told that egg yolks are useless. They just make you fat. So I'm perpetually avoiding them and eating egg
Really?
whites. No?
Wow. So yolk is very rich in choline, another brain vitamin. It is rich in cholesterol, very important for brain and anti-aging. The
Oh.
yolk, yeah. So if you take one whole egg, it might have between depending on the size of the egg, it can be between 65 to 75 calories. And egg white is only 12 calories, 12 to 15 calories, and has no fat, only pure protein.
Egg white does have protein.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same amount of protein as yolk.
Okay.
All the fat is in the yolk, but all the goodness is also in the yolk.
Got it.
Yeah, but you need to be in control. So I would ideally take my breakfast as one whole egg and one white.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I would take. Or two egg
Changing
white
diet.
omelette, maybe with little cheese, your favorite.
I love cheese.
Yes, so add cheese to your if you don't like yolk. But egg yolk is extremely important for people who eat egg.
No, I have no problem with the yolk. I have a problem with eating a boiled yolk.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah.
But in an omelette or whatever, scrambled eggs, that's fine.
Okay, great.
Intermittent fasting. I've heard so much about it. My husband does 21 hours of IF. 21, it's abnormal. But anyway, that's him. But from what I've read, researched, and heard, that if women try and exceed 14 hours of IF, it's extremely bad for their hormonal health. Is this true?
Self-care is all about 12 hours of fasting. We believe you start your day at 9, end your day at 9, okay? Or maybe at 8, okay? But not earlier than that, or not later in the morning. So there is, of course, many reasons. So first reason would be that after the age of 40, as I mentioned, that you start dropping muscle at a slower rate, which accelerates after the age of 50.
Right.
Now, if you're going to do IF, that means your body has no food for the longest time. You're awake and you're working out and you're doing everything, but you have no nutrition in your body. Of course, you burn fat fabulously, but you're also burning muscle.
Right.
Yeah. So there is a little bit of a gap. And if your diet is not smart during that non-fasting period, you might end up losing, of course, weight, of course, fat, but also muscle. And you start dropping your metabolism. So the diet of your intermittent fasting might become your maintenance diet. That means throughout life you're deprived of longer time of food. Or I have seen people who are doing intermittent fasting and then they travel. Okay, but they are not following intermittent because they're traveling, the dinner is at 9, breakfast is at 8, maybe, whatever. Then they start gaining weight again, whatever they have lost. So my aim is anyone who comes to me, of course they lose weight, but all of us travel at least once a month or once in 2 months. Then what about our diet then? So that is why we don't prefer 16 hours of fasting. That's really bad. Muscle loss, immunity loss.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, hair loss and acidity. These are the 4 major things we have seen with
For
intermittent.
men and women both?
Both. And one thing, your aging is only measured in how much muscle you have. No other barometer you should have, but only how much muscle you have. So I had one woman coming to me, and I really very happy the way I'm handling her. She is, of course, 65. She said, Suman, I'm so happy that I've come to you because we have never stopped her from exercising. She says, because all my age ladies of her age, same age, are not able to sit down without a, plop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without, they can't get up from the chair without support. She said, I'm the only one who can do that. Okay, so that's what is very important. For example, like I have never followed intermittent, and touch wood, I do my exercises regularly. So we went for this hike to Antarctica, and we had to hike in the snow, which is hard. So there were other people with us who were much younger than us. They could not do the hike. They don't have the muscle. Yeah. So that's how you are measured, not how beautiful you look, okay, how slim you are, but how much muscle you have. So that's what you lose when you do intermittent.
So for women, I get it because of everything that you've just explained. But again, and I know that a lot of professionals hate Instagram advice, but I'm just telling you what's trending. I'm just telling you what's trending. Where they talk about, especially for men, longer periods of IF kill bad cells.
Yeah.
And so
Oxidants.
and that's a good thing.
So I'm saying there is always a plus and pros and cons to every.
Of course.
Yeah. So of course the pros are that okay, what we call in India is mita ahar, which is lesser eating. Of course, benefits you in aging, and in a way, and because you're not eating.
But
rubbish.
not for women because of our hormones.
No, it's same for both.
Okay.
Men and women both need to understand that they need to eat well during their eating period, and they should not be more than 14 hours. Yeah. So it's very, very important to stick to that timing, because in a city like Bombay, like your husband also, I'm sure he's working from say 10 to 8 or 9 to 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has a long hours of working. So your brain needs to have constant supply of glucose. So, and whatever food we eat, it turns into glucose. Yeah. And that supplies the enough nutrient to the brain for it to work. So that is what is very important. Of course, when you're eating junk food and you're not sleeping enough, it troubles your brain. Yeah. And there is something I read today itself, that the less sleep can actually cause brain to, some cells, the neurotransmitters die or the connectivity is lost. So sleep is of course the baseline. Of course. But intermittent can actually be very, very harmful for you. This is what I have seen in my consult and in my
Forget about everything. I can't stay hungry only for longer than 12 hours. So IF is definitely not for me.
Yeah. So we should not. So maybe there are certain group of people they have maybe awake till very late in the night, and they should not be eating food, because the later you eat, of course, is going to come onto your body. So it's maybe advisable for certain people, but it's not an advice for everyone.
Right.
The easiest and the best thing to do is 12 hours or maximum 14 hours of fasting.
Got it.
So here is one more question is, I have seen people who follow vegan diet or any fat diets like liquid diets or detox diets. They all miss the protein. And protein is such an important thing. I'm sure that, and it becomes, as you age, it keeps becoming more and more important, because what you need in your diet is lesser carbs, because your metabolism is dropping slowly. So you need to make sure that your proteins are enough to maintain not only your hair, but your skin, and your muscle, and your hormones, and your antibodies. As you know, everything from top to bottom is made from protein, not from carbohydrate.
I'm going to cut you here for a second, and I'm going to tell you guys, I am not a professional, but I would like to tell you that every single friend of mine who has ever followed keto, paleo, all of them came and went. They all lost weight in that period, and they came back literally, I think, double of what they started off as. It was a mess. And, if you should know what works for your body. And if you don't, go to a professional.
Thank you so much. So over the time, we have never ever followed any of the fat diets. We stuck to the basics of science and nutrition, which has a long-term good effects. So what we say that our diets do for everyone who comes to us, that's why we have touched with very, very good set of people coming to us, and they believe in us, because we don't give them fads. We don't tell them that you only have to eat this or you can't eat. We don't have no as a word in our dictionary. If someone says, I want to have potatoes, I said, okay, I'll add. Someone says, I want alcohol. So I'll tell you one story about this alcohol.
I need potatoes and alcohol.
So this gentleman came to me. So he says, I have fatty liver, 24%, or actually it was 26 or 28%. And he said, I have been to the dietitian whom I follow, and she said, you can't have alcohol and you can't have non-veg. I need to have both, and I want to get rid of my fatty liver.
I love it. Superb. Did you manage it?
And he said that I have a huge collection of wine which I've collected over the years, and I want to have all of them.
Amazing.
And he was some 60 plus at that time. So I said, okay, let's take it as a challenge. So I found the reason for his fatty liver. As you know, that 90% of the time, fatty liver is because of insulin resistance. So we found that he was insulin resistant. We started the medication, and I added wine every alternate day in his diet.
Wow.
And I gave him non-veg every alternate day.
Superb.
Yeah. And he lost 10 kgs in 3 months.
Amazing.
Yeah. And his fatty liver, he called me from the hospital where he did his fatty liver check. He said, I can't believe it is 1%
Superb.
in 3 months. Here, I'm not saying that we should advocate alcohol and like put a stamp that it's good for you, because as we know that alcohol is pure sugar and it is going to be harmful, but not like in limited quantity. You can have it in limited quantity, but of course not in excess quantity.
So, when I got pregnant, when I got pregnant, actually, Instagram was barely a thing. Content creators were barely a thing. It was 8 years ago, 8 years ago doesn't seem like that far away. But honestly, Instagram, like creators didn't really exist who were talking about parenting and lifestyle and whatnot at that point. I gained 29.5 kgs in my first pregnancy.
Where?
So I worked super hard. And what I realized at that point was I didn't go to a professional. I just figured it out for myself, because I always knew that when I, as my body type, eats gluten, I am perpetually bloated. I have understood that excess dairy, which means excess cheese, because I can go crazy with cheese, leads to inflammation of my skin. And of course, sugar is sugar, and excess chocolates are just, if you don't know that by now, then seriously. But I kind of removed those three things from my life. Not permanently. I allowed myself to eat them twice a month. I cannot go a whole month without a pizza. It's not possible. But in that process of, really leaving these things out of my life and working out like a crazy person, I managed to lose all my weight in exactly 1 year. And I came back to normal. It's another thing that and then I went for my son's birthday to the Maldives and I showed off my bikini body, like, oh my God, look at me. I came back and a week later I found out I was pregnant again.
Oh.
Disaster. And then I gained 25 kgs.
And again you lost it.
Yeah, I lost it. But the point is that is gluten, I know what it does to my body, but I'm not an extremist, so I'm not going to never eat gluten. I will. But is gluten really that much of an issue generically amongst people, or is it just me?
It is a very small section of people who are gluten intolerant, okay, or gluten allergic. So people who are gluten allergic is called celiac, where they have inflammation in their body. But intolerant people have bloating or little, as you mentioned, little water retention, as in your case. So there is a small section of people whom we give a non-gluten diet, but you must understand that gluten is also very important for us because of the gut microbiome. And if you have eaten gluten throughout your life, your body has made enzymes or things to digest it. So it's better not to get off any food, then your body becomes intolerant to it. Because same thing happened to me, as I mentioned. I was trying a diet on me before I read nutrition or studied nutrition, and I became vegan.
Oh.
For 3 years.
Wow.
And of course, reading books, and that time there was no internet. There was only knowledge through books, etc. And I read a book which said that you should eat fruits till 12. So I lost all good gut microbiome, good bacteria from my gut. And of course, I lost a lot of weight. But of course, I lost good hair, good skin, immunity, and muscle. I was vegan. Yeah. Then I understood I need to do proper studies, because this thing in me to be healthy and live up till 100, which I told someone when I was 25 that my aim is to live up till 100 without a stick and having the right mind and body at the same time. Not of course, not productive. So that's what my aim. That's why I started studying nutrition and started reading about these things. And then I realized how wrong veganism could be for you. So coming back to gluten is you should not stop anything which you have been able to digest till now. But one diet is not for everyone.
Correct.
So maybe we give lactose-free diet to some people, but we give vegan also to very, 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 very few people. And of course, we supplement it with vitamins. We give gluten-free to a lot of people, but of course to a select section of people for a shorter period of time, as you did. You did very smartly that you were dairy-free and gluten-free for a small section of time, which is great. You did a good job.
Yay, thank you.
So yeah.
So you mentioned about insulin resistance. What is that? I honestly do not understand it.
So insulin resistance is a very, very common occurrence we find in a lot of men and women who come to us, especially the ones who have a family history or in their genetic history, diabetes or obesity. Both the things, if we find commonly, we know that they could have insulin resistance, and that is the cause for them to. Many women who come to us above the age of 40, not able to lose weight, following the right diet, right exercise. I'm not losing weight. What is happening? So we do a check. Of course, we do their blood check, we understand their diet, we see their exercise, timing of exercise, the combination of food, timing of food, everything matters.
Right.
Then we start checking out what is wrong and telling them what is right to be done. But major factor is insulin resistance, where their fasting insulin is more than 10 and their post insulin is more than 25, which is not same as sugar reading. This is the insulin, your hormone. What is the level of your hormone at fasting, which is called insulin? What is the level of your hormone post 2 hours of your meal? So these are very, very important levels for us to find. Then we find their insulin resistance, as we found for Mr. Anand. So what are the symptoms of insulin resistance? Is they will experience extra hair fall. So if they come with hair fall, we have all these questions for them to mark. They might have pigmentation. They might have pigmentation in the skin fold. They have typically gained weight on their tummy, which Indian men, so many of them, they have typical belly. Then they have in the blood markers, fasting insulin, post insulin, then their inflammation marker, which is CRP, which is C-reactive protein, could be higher than 3. Then they could be having high levels of triglycerides. So the doctor starts them on cholesterol lowering drug, but not check their insulin. Actually, it's related to insulin resistance. Their LDL could be more than 100. Their HDL is lower. They might have elevated levels of fat liver enzymes. And of course, when they do sonography, they will find that they could be having stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 fatty liver. And these are the collective symptoms. They could be having a fatty liver, which is non-alcoholic fatty liver, only because of carbs.
Wow.
So, yeah. So as soon as we correct their diet, reduce carbs, make sure the protein is enough, maybe do a consultation with endocrinologist and with 2 doctors in our team, Dr. Juhi, Dr. Anand. They actually come into consultation, explain them what is insulin resistance, put them with the right doctor's consultation, maybe start medication, correct their diet, lifestyle, exercise, sleep, and they all lose weight and stay there forever.
I need to do all these blood tests. I'm going to
You look
screenshot.
at you.
No. I'm going to, this is the difference in 20s and 40s, right? I didn't even care in my 20s.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I want to know everything.
Yes.
Because I want to live to be 90. I don't know about 100, but I definitely want to be, my grandmother has been a huge influence in my life. Huge influence. She was Jewish. She was like tall, beautiful,
Really?
always stunning. I actually named my daughter after her, Serena. And she was brilliant till the last few months. Like I said, COVID just kind of got her in, but otherwise, and I feel like taking your life seriously, doing these tests, seeking help from professionals versus Instagram is something all of us really have to do.
Yeah.
I'm coming to you.
Okay.
I'm coming to you.
You hardly need me, but of
No,
course.
I need you.
Yeah. No, you're fantastic, I must tell you.
Thank you.
And you know your ABC of nutrition to a certain extent.
Certain.
Yeah, so that is what is insulin resistance is all about. And also I wanted to talk about the hair health during...
I want to come in here right now. I definitely had a lot more hair than this. I don't know if it's my thyroid. I don't know if it's age. I actually haven't colored my hair for the first time in my life in over a year. Because I knew I was 39. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to turn 40 soon. And so let whatever colors there just fade off because I'm going to go gray soon. I'm so blessed that I have some 1-2 strands of gray somewhere inside.
My God, you're really blessed.
I'm really blessed. I'm really blessed. And the more I've been telling people this, I'm like,
No, touch wood.
aa jayega. But the point is that I have definitely noticed while I'm washing my hair, while I'm brushing my hair, more hair loss. Could that even be thyroid related, or is that age related, or what's the scene? Or am I not eating enough protein?
Yeah, so there are certain hormones when they go off, you lose more hair. One is insulin resistance, second is thyroid, third is high levels of prolactin. These are the three things can cause hair loss. Besides that, low iron levels, low B12, and certain complexes can cause hair loss or graying of your hair. And protein deficiency actually is the biggest cause of hair loss because the hair is 93% protein.
Oh, one more very important question. I've seen a lot of girls crack eggs on their hair. They crack eggs on their hair and leave it. I tried that once, and then I went into the shower to have like a hot bath, and that egg started cooking in my hair. Like literally, I couldn't get the egg off. It was a disaster. But those girls have thick, luscious hair. So I'm like, does it really work?
So it's all inside out. You need to really eat well for very good hair. And of course, make sure your hormones are proper and take good vitamins, which is biotin with grapeseed extract, really help hair growth. And use good oil and of course, avoid coloring.
For now, till it lasts.
Yes. So that's what I'm so happy to see your hair. Touch wood, you haven't been coloring and you don't have gray.
For the first time, for 25 years, I colored it like every 3-4 months. And my dad used to tell me, if you're going to color it more, you're going to go gray, but nothing happened. Nothing happened.
So you never used to touch your root?
Never.
Only that?
No, I used to touch my root. I've bleached it. I've gone blue, purple, blonde, red, orange, every color. I have messed with my hair. So actually now, the way my hair falls and everything, it's fantastic because I've never had virgin hair after I was 17 years old. I've always colored it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've also played a lot with my hair.
Yeah.
Touch wood.
Yeah. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
Rice. Okay. I love rice. I can't live without rice. I mean, I've never been a roti, chapati person, so I never really cared for gluten. Yeah, of course, I like my gobi parathas, aloo parathas once in a while. But I love
Like
rice.
a Punjabi blood in you.
Fully. But I cannot, my father thinks I'm Madrasi because of the amount of rice I eat. But I cannot, like, if I've gone through a whole day without rice, something happens to me. My mood switch, I need rice.
Yeah.
Is rice really bad? Or it digests so, like, I feel light after I eat rice. I don't feel heavy.
Yeah, I'm from Bengal, so rice is my staple food. I eat rice for lunch and dinner.
Same. And it's fine.
It's fine.
Because we're both doing great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You can eat rice for
Yes.
lunch and dinner.
Yes. So I love rice and I love my curd rice or khichdi is my favorite meal. And of course I have every kind of grain because I've not stopped having grain. So I eat rice, but I also eat wheat or quinoa or jowar or bajra or ragi, every grain. I don't want to eliminate anything unless I am like really allergic to it. I want my body to be able to digest everything till my body tells me, listen, now stop.
Right.
Trying.
Okay, there's a very important question. I don't know if you're going to be happy with this question or angry with this question. So many years ago, I think when I was 20, one of my best friends, she was a supermodel at the time, and the advice she was given was to follow the blood group diet. And my blood group diet, I'm B positive, and my blood group diet says, for many other things that it says or doesn't, the one thing it says is avoid gluten, dairy. And that's exactly why that's what it became part of my life. Like when I heard that advice, like I said, I'm not an extremist, right? I will still eat the pizza and the pasta and all of that when I'm out and about. But for majority of the time at home, it was rice.
followed your blood
Yeah,
group.
I followed my blood group and it worked for me. Is that a placebo? Or did it actually work?
So did you ever have high levels of prolactin in your blood? Did you ever check prolactin?
No, I don't even know what prolactin is.
Yeah, so there are certain hormones if they're high in your blood, so we know that we have to give less dairy and less gluten for you. There is blood group diet where O positive also is not supposed to have too much of dairy and gluten, and A positive is supposed to avoid. So we have asked this question to many of our clients. If nothing works, then we try the blood group diet. But I have seen that not stepping into that field is better because you don't want to mess up with your brain and see that, oh, that's not good for you.
It messes with your brain. I fully accept it messes with your brain.
And you don't want to tell that thing to your body, oh, I'm eating this and it's not good for me.
Correct.
You have to send the right signals. Ultimately, your body is extremely intelligent. It knows Yeah. So, and it knows what it suits, and you have figured it out. Okay, your body does well with this and not does well with that. And that's how. So, one question I ask every client when they come to me when they are overweight, I tell them I have two sets of protein to give you. One is dairy based and one is plant based. So, tell me, in past, what have you taken more in order to gain this weight? So, I take cues like that from my client.
Right.
Yeah, it's always you know your body best. My client will know their body best. So I have to work on that. So we do, or sometimes if they have nothing, then we make a balanced diet. We give them eggs or some first class protein in the morning. Lunch can be a mix of dal and curd, and dinner can be chicken, fish, or vegetarian curd or paneer or tofu, depending on the kind of diet suits them. So we take blood group diet as not a Bible, but very, very.
It's not as bad as the other fad diets.
Yeah, it's not as bad. At
Okay.
least some balance.
Phew. Awesome. What is your take on us, a lot of us, who go to the gym in the morning on an empty stomach?
If you're doing strength training, you need to have some form of energy, like a date or two and some nuts. So that's why I tell whether you're going for strength training or you're going for cardio. You need to have some that little 50 to 100 calories before you work out.
Okay.
So that, you have some energy and you're not hitting a wall when you're doing intense exercise.
Right. Because all of us have been fed this thing that we must go empty stomach because we burn more. And then as soon as you're out of the gym, you consume, the first thing you need to consume is protein. And I've been doing it.
So we have a theory about it. We say if you want to gain weight, so gain weight means muscle. So we tell them to work out either before or after, have a balanced meal, like a protein and carb rich meal, like maybe an egg sandwich, okay, which gives them energy at the same time protein within 30 minutes of finishing the workout. Then they gain very good amount of weight, or just before workout.
Muscle, not weight.
The weight gain. So weight gain, that means anyone who comes with weight gain and muscle gain, aim of gaining weight and muscle, they have to eat within 30 minutes.
And what if someone wants to lose weight
So they cannot eat within 30 minutes.
after the gym?
Yeah. They have to wait for 30 minutes and then eat the meal.
Okay.
It should be balanced again with protein, fat, carbs, and fiber.
But after 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
there
is very important information. This is very, very important information.
Yeah. This is very important. And we have people who are like coming to us and we give them the diet and the time of exercise and type of exercise, everything. Then they change their time of exercise. They're doing it after breakfast and they're not losing weight. And we find out after a month because this is what we didn't give them. We didn't tell them that, okay, exercise after your breakfast.
Right.
So they have eaten a nice and healthy and big breakfast and then they are exercising. They don't lose any weight.
Of course.
Yeah, because they're eating, they are burning the calories which they have eaten for the breakfast. So there is no fat loss happening. There's no fat burn happening, right? They're in fact gaining weight sometimes. So then we find out after a month. So that's how we realize that the timing of exercise and what type of exercise is very important. What you eat before and after is also very important.
I've learned so much today.
No, from you too. And you told me that blood group diet worked for you.
It worked.
Right?
It really worked. It became a part of my life. It became a part of my best friend's life. And both of us realized that, everyone used to be like, how do you guys never gain weight? Because y'all eat, because I eat a lot. I have never known how to starve myself. I've never known how to do anything of the sort. I eat, but I've never gained weight. Collagen. We're being fed so much information about collagen, whether it's pills, powders, IV drips, whatnot. We're told after 35 our collagen depletes super fast and we have to supplement it. I'm taking collagen powder. Is it really working or is it like entering my body and exiting? Because there's so many differing opinions and it's just so confusing.
So I believe in collagen and I have also been taking since a long time till maybe some years ago when it started giving me little acidity because certain age gap happened. So it is extremely important and good for you and because it maintains the collagen level below your skin. And the reason I'm telling you because all my children also, girls also take. And when they went for a skin test, when you go to any beauty center and say they went to London and they were checking the level of collagen and all my kids had a highest level of collagen below their skin. So
But do you recommend pills or powders?
Powders. Yeah, it's not only important.
Now we want to know what powder your kids are taking and you're taking. And we want to take the same powder.
So there are many collagens available in the market and you can choose any and it should be pure as far as possible. If you can't consume in the purest form, then of course take the mixed form. And what I would like to take is mixed with whey protein, which doesn't work. And I was trying to look for a vendor who would give me collagen plus whey. It wasn't working. So yeah, that's out. But it not only helps your skin because it's pure protein. It does miss one amino acid though. So you cannot solely depend on the collagen for your protein. That should be additional to your protein intake. And not only it helps your skin, but also helps hair. So you have better hair because of collagen, by the way.
Okay.
And thirdly, it is the bovine collagen is very, very important for your muscle and your joints.
So, okay, very important point. Bovine collagen or marine collagen?
So marine is for the skin and bovine is for your joints and your muscle. So the cartilage in your joints is actually fed by collagen. So that can help you maintain your joints if you're taking collagen. But as I mentioned that I haven't been taking for 2 years. I have been right now depending on whey protein for my extra protein intake for the skin and hair, and it's really working well. So it's not that only collagen will give you better hair and better skin. Even the whey protein can do the same job. It's not that I'm advocating too much of whey in everyone's diet, because this is like if I say whey and I get so much of trashing on internet.
Because
Whey.
of the amount of hate whey is getting right now and all the...
Yeah, and the plant protein is to go for and everything, but I like the taste of whey, and I don't consume in like 1 or 2 scoops. I hardly consume 1 or 2 tablespoons, which is 10 to 15 grams. That's it. Not like 30, 40 grams in a day.
So for a vegetarian who would not consume marine or bovine collagen, do these plant-based collagens really work?
No, so the plant-based collagen are not collagen.
Did you hear that? Plant-based collagen is not collagen.
Collagen can only be from fish or bovine.
Okay, super.
So that's all farce, because the people, vegetarian, they really need collagen, and so so the people are playing in their hand. They are playing into the manufacturer's hands. If they looking something to mimic collagen, they better take the whey protein or make sure their diet is rich in protein by taking enough dairy, enough, if they are vegetarian, enough paneer, tofu, and curd, etc., to make the diet healthier. And most important thing about skin and this thing is sleep. You can't have a good skin without sleep.
I know, but you know, the problem is that, like, before I had kids, I was sleeping like 10.5 hours a day. And now...
It's okay, it's just a short period of time.
I know.
Yeah, but sleep should be the foundation of your good health. Every domino will fall if the sleep is bad. Your hunger will go out of bounds, you will be irritable, you'll make wrong choices for food, you will may consume extra sugars, everything will go off. So sleep, and you can't exercise if you have not slept enough, because you don't have the strength. So the sleep is the baseline, and then everything is built on that.
Okay.
And that's how
is 7 hours enough?
I mean, 7 is okay, 8 is the best.
Okay.
So that's why I wear this app,
Yeah.
which I think everyone knows about it.
Yep.
I have been wearing Aura since 5 years, maybe more, 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She's very ahead of her time, I must say. Became a vegan, what, 20 years, 15 years ago before?
No, not 15, 20. Literally 30 years ago.
30 years ago. Very ahead of her time.
No, I was too much into food and nutrition and good health, and I wanted to be, as I mentioned.
Because the ring is trending now.
Yeah. I have made so many people buy this.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So this, why this is important, because it tells me what food eating late at night gives me not good sleep. So that there are many parameters to a sleep, which is your deep sleep, your oxygen levels, your heart rate, your HRV, and your REM sleep. So it measures everything. So that's what I love about it. It also measures my exercise, my heart rate during my exercise, how quickly my heart recovers after exercise. So it's a fantastic measure of my sleep and my daily activity.
Amazing.
And yeah. So that's how AI helps you nowadays.
Superb. Awesome. So since you just spoke about AI and showed me your ring, let's talk more about AI. ChatGPT is everyone's new best friend. When my dog is sick, I call my doctor, but then I also start asking ChatGPT questions. The same goes with my kids. ChatGPT and me have a relationship, and I think everybody has a relationship with ChatGPT now. To a point where people are actually going and attempting to make diet plans, food plans, weekly food, their meal plans, etc. on ChatGPT. What is your take on that?
I think no AI can do what a personalized, in-depth study of an individual self, what self-care, what our company does. Not only we take their food preferences, what they're eating on a daily basis, timing and exercise, what their genetic history is, and what are the blood parameters, and how we can improve that, whether it's migraine, whether it's acidity, constipation, and IBS, or cancer, or diabetes, or blood pressure, cholesterol, or osteoporosis. I mean, there are thousands of ailments they come with. Okay, and we are supposed to, not we are supposed to, we do. Our job is to make sure we alleviate them from all those issues. And not only that, we believe in prevention. That's why Dr. Juhi and Dr. Anand have joined, because as a doctors, because they want to prevent every ailment which is coming their way. So another reason for me joining starting my company, or calling it self-care, is because I have in my genetic history, starting from diabetes, everyone is around me is diabetic in my family. Diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, obesity, cancer, asthma, skin disease, migraine, thyroid, and you name it and we have it. I don't know what, like rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune too. So I wanted to not get anything from my genetic history. That was my aim. And that's what I tell my clients. I know, because we take in-depth study of their genetic history, their uncle, aunts, nani, nana, dadi, dada, cousins, and their siblings, everyone's genetic history. And we say that if you ever going to get anything is depending on what genes you have gotten. And my job is to prevent it for you. And that is what we do. So I have prevented it for myself till now, by the way.
Awesome.
Yeah, touch wood. Nothing has touched me till now. And this is what I want to spread and do for everyone who walks into my clinic. How can a chat GPT do that? That's my question.
Well, I'm honestly happy to hear that AI cannot do what humans can, because I'm sick and tired of thinking AI is taking over the world. But no, thank you. And I feel like with your intentions and heart being so pure, where you want to ensure the best for everyone who walks into your clinic, you too shall always remain protected.
Oh, thank you so much. God willing. Another thing, that what self-care believes in, that if a client tells me, listen, I can't eat this food. Like, people come and tell me, I will not take protein powders. We never enforce anything on them. We believe, my mother has always told me one thing, and which has stuck to me, with me, is khao man pasand and pehno jag pasand. That means you eat what you want to eat, and you should dress up the way the world would like to see you in. Okay, of course, you will bring in your own fun. So I have never given any food to anyone they don't want to ever eat. I believe the diet should be happy. If you are happy, I tell them, first you feed your soul. That means if your body and your soul is well fed, then only anything will work on you.
So true.
So that's what we do. That's how ChatGPT can't work.
Amazing.
Yeah, but it'll give you pointers.
Yeah, but I don't know how accurate those pointers are, because when I put in my dog's diagnosis, I got such hectic answers. I sent it immediately to my vet. She called me up. She said, off the internet now. I said, okay, cool.
Okay. So you don't need anything. Your skin is beautiful. You have a very good elasticity. But what's your take on Botox and fillers? Because I think women and the girls are starting at a very young age.
So to be honest, about a year and a half ago, I did do Botox on my forehead. It's gone. It went in some 3 months.
3 months it goes.
Yeah. In 3 months it was gone. So now all the lines of the world are there, which is fine. I have also done my lips. About 2 years ago was the last time. The reason I stopped was, one, I was like, I just can't deal with this pain anymore. It's just unnecessary. Plus, I'm okay. Like, I'd rather focus on my food and my skincare at this point than do that. And honestly, the more women I see in their 50s who look so strange right now, I'm like, I definitely don't want to look like them. Yeah. And so I've been avoiding it. I'm not saying that I will never use Botox again, but I don't think I'm in a rush.
Yeah, okay. No, you're quite good. And I think for a very long time to come, you may not be requiring.
I'm seeing fine lines all over my forehead. Let me tell you this.
See?
Oh, come on. I've just turned 40. Your skin is phenomenal.
No, thank you. Yeah, so I believe that what the Botox has been made to be a bad villain, and it makes you look funny. I think all these things in smaller quantity, rightly done with the right dermatologist, is great. Yeah?
Correct.
Yeah.
There's
But
lots of
people-
women who look great because they microdose.
Yeah.
They don't try and change themselves to
Yes,
look
yes.
like, like someone with like.
So microdosing and being yeah. So being very smart about
And like
it.
those big cheeks,
Yeah,
like
big cheeks.
can't.
Yeah.
So as long as we don't do that, I'm open to both Botox and fillers. Honestly, doing my lips added a very big boost of confidence to me. And even though it's been 2 years since my last lip filler, my lip,
It looks very natural.
it never went back to its original
Thin.
like, invisibleness. Of course, that plump and that extra thing that came went away in 3 months, but something changed, and I'm very
Happy
okay
about
with it. Yeah.
Okay. So that's very good. You're openly talking about it. Many women ask me. I said, listen, if you want to do it, make sure it is done with the right person and in microdosing.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing, not to change your face overnight.
So I was really lucky that the doctor who did my Botox on my forehead, I had actually done a consult with somebody else who told me I need something like 27 units or something of the sort. And then I just never followed through with it. And then eventually when I got down to doing it, the doctor told me, you need nothing more than 13 units.
Oh.
That's 50% less.
50%.
And she's like, we're just going to microdose you and you're going to look great. And I
That's
look great.
great.
I look great. And Botox doesn't even hurt. Like fillers, oh my God, they're traumatic.
Yeah.
Right? Especially lip. Oh.
The threading.
I haven't done the threads, but I know people who have. And I'm like, why did you do that to yourself? Like,
It's painful too at the same time. Great. But there are other treatment which are not invasive, which is HIFU.
right. But again, that HIFU scares me because of the pain.
Pain, yeah. Otherwise, it's non-invasive and that
Correct.
doesn't change your face overnight.
Right.
It's just a lift, which is a very good treatment. And if they can get a good doctor at a good price, I
Yeah.
think, okay.
I've watched my mom do HIFU.
Yeah?
And it's worked brilliantly on her.
Yeah. I think I've
And
done
all her
HIFU
friends.
once, but I'm not going back to it because of the pain.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm like, okay, I have to gather a lot of...
Same with me and lip fillers. I'm like, it kills me, but...
Okay. There are a lot of people now actually believe in supplementation. And what are you taking as supplements in your diet, in your list?
I'm embarrassed because I was so good with my supplements after I had kids, like for the first 4 years. And now I've just been a lazy mess. Having said that, I stopped my iron recently and I've noticed, and when you said it, I knew my answer right there. That it's my iron supplement and me stopping that which has caused my hair fall for sure. I stopped my calcium because I was advised to, because there was a tiny stone found in my kidney and the doctor was like, it'll pass, you don't need to do anything about it, but maybe avoid calcium temporarily. Should I?
Yeah, we don't give calcium as a supplement to many.
And we're told like women above 35 must no?
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, I have my collagen. I have, then I don't even want to tell you what I have because they're all like Instagram supplements. Like black seed oil and turkey tail mushroom and curcumin, probiotic. I kind of do it often because like for instance, I've just gone through 2 rounds of antibiotics in 1 month. So now I'm going to start my probiotics straight for 1 month because I can feel what it's done to my body. Antibiotics pulls you down.
Yes.
It pulls you down. And back to back, it really pulled me down.
Yeah, then you need probiotic for sure.
Other than that, I have stopped consuming my multivitamin, which I know I should not. Now my next question is, what should I be consuming? Okay, let me ask you a straight question. A woman at 40, as she touches 40, what are the supplements that are non-negotiable?
Yeah. So there are certain supplements I take and which I give to everyone, and especially to women, is a multivitamin, which has little more of zinc and selenium, and astaxanthin, which we make. So we make our own curated range of vitamins. One of them is multivitamin. It's called Daily Plus. Then we have next one, which I really believe in, is Omega. Omega-3 is non-negotiable because...
When I was consuming my Omega, everything was different. When I stopped my Omega, I saw my skin change.
Skin change to worse.
Yeah.
Okay. So Omega is not only also given for skin. There are 2 main objects of giving Omega, objective. One is the brain and second is the eye. Yeah. So it is proven that your brain cells work better with Omega. So that's another non-negotiable, and eye health. They both are.
Do you guys make Omega as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just getting onto your website and buying everything today.
Then the third one, which we give to everyone, is ubiquinol, which is an active form of coenzyme Q10. So
What?
as we age...
I've never even heard of this. Wow.
Yeah. So that's we give to everyone.
So I come from a family where there's been a lot of heart disease, including my
Very, very
grandmother,
good, yeah.
who lived till 91 but had enough heart issues.
Yes.
So this
This is for everyone who are on statin or on thyroid. Third one, which is non-negotiable, is coenzyme Q10. Yeah, which is we make ourselves, which is called ubiquinol, and which is the active form of coenzyme Q10, and we specially imported from Japan because they were the first people who came out with this active form of coenzyme Q10. Why is coenzyme Q10 important? Because as we age, that level goes down in our body. By supplementing it, we keep your metabolism high, your heart healthier, and also it works for people who are taking thyroid medication because because of the medication it comes down in your body. So taking coenzyme Q10 supplement really helps. Also for fertility, they are given higher dose of coenzyme Q10, but we have the active form, so that's much better than giving 300 mg or 600 mg of coenzyme Q10. So that's one third supplement we believe in. So the fourth one, which I give to everyone, which I really like, is glutathione. Yeah, so glutathione I've been taking regularly.
Now I have to stop you. I became a glutathione sucker in the middle,
Okay.
where I was going for drips and this
Drips,
and that, and I was also consuming it orally and all of that.
Both.
I was doing my drips like once in a month, and then I was consuming it, whatever, and I felt like I saw a difference. Now, my point is, a lot of people again started confusing me, saying IV is the only way to take it because when you're taking a pill, it's not getting absorbed, it's all going out. Is this true?
Okay, so glutathione has different...
Glutathione is trending big time. Huh?
Yeah, I have been subscribing glutathione since 15 years.
I told you guys she's super progressive.
And collagen is 2011. I've
Wow.
been giving people. And I was waiting for it to come to India. Miji is the first company which came and we started giving Miji.
Wow.
Okay. Now about glutathione. Glutathione, if you want to lighten your skin complexion and smoothen it, then you have to take it with vitamin C. If you are taking 500 mg or 400 mg of glutathione, then you need 1000 or 1500 mg of vitamin C or equal amount. Okay. That's for skin lightening and smoothening. But it is also a liver detox.
Right.
Yeah. So you have to know what the reason you're taking it for.
I don't think anyone takes it to detox their liver. They all take it for... No, it's not about being fairer. It's about... what I felt was my hyperpigmentation or whatever. You know, I really messed with my skin in my 20s. Like I said, I used to wait for a tan under the sun, getting burned, no sunscreen, nothing. And that's led to enough dark spots. With me doing the frequent drips or whatever, I did notice a more even skin tone. So it's not so much about being fair. I feel like I'm fair enough. But it was the even skin tone.
Yeah. So we were giving glutathione those days to people who had pigmentation because that was a one big thing we found. So by giving them glutathione with vitamin C as a combination, it really worked wonders.
We've seen so many actors going from one side of the spectrum to the other. I'm like, what happened to her?
Yeah. So it is because of glutathione, but we don't believe in drip because we have seen a very bad side effect of taking glutathione drip. So we believe in...
What is the side effect?
So one girl took it in a wrong way because, you know, you need to have the really right source and not to be in a hurry and not tell them, listen, give it to me fast, I have to rush. Then it can be really bad for you. She had a very bad reaction and she landed up in hospital.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, she's okay. But my thing is, if you don't need to do invasive, then you rather take I take oral, I will not do invasive.
And it absorbs just fine.
I take it for the health reason, not for the whitening of the skin or lightening of the skin.
But would it also help with the whitening and the
Yeah,
lightening?
if you take it with vitamin
With
C.
vitamin C.
Of course. Oral is fine, as fine. Because
Okay.
I've seen a huge difference. One lady came with spots all over her face. Everything went in 3 months treatment.
Wow.
With oral. And it's like...
Do you sell glutathione also?
Yes. We manage.
Amazing. Okay.
So that's the fourth one. Now we have another vitamin which we truly believe so as I mentioned, that sleep is the most important thing which I feel that everyone should pay attention to because of the advent of
I hear
OTT.
something with M coming. Is it?
Yes.
Magnesium.
So magnesium is good for your bones, good for your gut, but there are many types of magnesium. What we believe in is magnesium glycinate, which is good for your gut and the skin and for bones and for sleep and for migraine. So we end up giving to a lot of people because everyone has one of the issues.
Why do I hear some people say that magnesium doesn't suit me? Is it because they're taking the wrong magnesium?
Maybe, yeah. So that is another vitamin we believe in. But there are many then besides this, which a woman should take. And depending on if they're not taking enough dairy, then we give them a calcium supplement. But calcium with K2, that is what is important. Only taking calcium is not good. So, and a lower dose of calcium and with K2, then you may not have plaque formation in your artery or the hardening of the artery.
Right.
Sometimes it happens. So calcium is anti-aging, yeah, but it has to be taken in the right way.
Okay. Awesome. So let's recap that.
One second.
Huh.
So
Oh, we have
besides
another
this,
one?
yeah.
Oh.
So let's talk about vitamin D and B12. So this gentleman came to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
I have noticed, Doc, that every time I go through a Uprise D, which is what I take, a kind of 4-5 week situation where I take it once a week, I am doing better.
Yeah.
Immunity, energy. I don't know again if it's placebo or not.
Yeah. Here I want to ask you a question. What do you think vitamin D is for?
I don't know, but I was told that I'm low in it, and then that's why I'm feeling lethargic and blah blah blah.
But what is the low vitamin D do to your body?
I don't know.
Why
Does
would
it
you
drop
take
your
it?
immunity? My pediatrician also told me that start your kids on vitamin D because it helps build their immunity.
Yeah. So vitamin D is a vital vitamin. We get it from sun.
Right.
Yeah. But because of the pollution, we may not be getting and we don't expose ourselves to sun as much. Now, the problem with vitamin D, it can only be absorbed in your body if you have cholesterol. Because it's fat soluble, right? So it's very important to understand how to take vitamin D. You need to have enough cholesterol in your food for it to get absorbed from the sun. Otherwise, you take it in tablet form, it's okay. Yeah. Vitamin D is essential because not only it is good for the calcium absorption to your bones or calcium functioning in your body. Second most important thing is prevents diabetes. If it is low, then if you have chance of having diabetes, your insulin levels or sugar levels will go high. Third, it is very important for your heart functioning. And they have found as a research study that anyone who has had cancer, everyone's vitamin D was very low.
Oh wow,
Yes.
that is very interesting.
Yes. So that is why it's a very important vitamin and immunity and energy and fatigue. So that is why it's a standard thing for us. We have been doing vitamin B, B12 and D3 check from 2005.
Wow.
Yeah. And when I gave a lecture in one convention and I spoke about vitamin D and D3 in 2005, and it was all doctors and they all got angry with me. I said, what are you talking about? What is this B12 and D3? It's not required. We get it naturally. Everyone is deficient. Do you know that? And B12 and D3.
I have a question. With vitamin D, do you take it every day for the whole year, or do you do cycles?
So the most important thing which everyone knows about vitamin D is the connection to the bone health, because low vitamin D, that means low calcium and then osteoporosis. So the right level of vitamin D we make our client reach is above 50. They have to, and it has a toxicity level which is above 100. So we make sure they are between 50 to 100. On maintenance dose, we tell them to take 60K twice in a month for 3 months on maintenance and check your levels again.
Right.
But once a month, 60K is, their levels do fall. So, and on daily thing, they can take anything between 4,000 to 5,000 or 2,000 IU capsule in a day, which comes to almost 120 in a month. 120,000.
So 120 a month is what we should be aiming for.
Yeah. On maintenance dose. Yeah. Now B12. So B12 deficiency is a widespread again, and the deficiency can cause a lot of issues: fatigue, back pain, your gut issues, and it's a brain vitamin. So you'll have confusion, difficulty to deciding, and also long-standing B12 deficiency can cause irreversible brain damage, nerve damage, not brain damage, nerve damage. So it's very, very important. So those two vitamins we always correct, supplement it, and then maintain.
Do our kids need to be taking B12 as well?
I haven't seen in kids the deficiency of B12, but whenever you check, and I think their multivitamins all
Usually cover it.
covers it. Yeah. So you've spoken so much, and how about a rapid fire?
Let's do it.
Okay. So I'm fast answers. Okay.
Okay.
One thing you love about turning 40.
A sense of empowerment.
Wow. A beauty hack you swear by.
Dipping my face in ice water.
Wow. One fashion trend you hope never comes back.
Low waist jeans because I don't have my abs anymore. If I get my abs back, then low waist can come back.
Okay, okay. If your life had a background song at 40, what it would be?
I'm unstoppable. I'm a Porsche with no brakes.
Okay. One thing no one tells you about motherhood.
That it's the hardest job in the whole world.
Agreed, 100%. My father wanted to send away, because I have 3 children, he wanted to send away one of my daughter to boarding school because I thought I'm dying, literally. A wellness myth you believed in your 20s, but now you know about it better now.
That sunscreen causes cancer and we shouldn't use it.
Oh God, really? True. If you could rate one celebrity's wardrobe, whose would?
I think Taylor Swift's tour wardrobe because I love sparkles and like everything she wears is sparkly.
Wow. What's your guilty pleasure snack?
Pizza.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. If 40 was drink, what would it be called?
A spicy, exhausted picante.
One thing you're doing differently as a parent in your 40s.
Nothing. It's just like I'm trying to learn how to have patience and tolerance, but I don't know how much it's working.
Good one. If you had to rename your 40s, what would you call it?
I honestly think 40s are fabulous. And I really mean it because I feel like a boss.
Feel like a boss. Most spontaneous thing you have done recently?
I took my kids and my dog camping and we slept under the stars and it was amazing in a tent.
Wow, beautiful. A skincare product you'll never stop using?
Sunscreen.
Yes, I know that was coming. Who's the one person that always gives you the best advice?
My mom. I hate it when she gives me advice because I don't look at it as advice. I look at it as lectures. But at the end of it, she's right. So my mom.
I agree. Moms are the best.
Yeah.
What's your secret to staying fabulous at 40?
A positive mindset.
Wonderful. Okay. I think we are done with your rapid fire. Do you want to throw some at me?
Yes.
Not all.
Now it's your turn. One thing you loved about turning 40.
I felt I felt less responsibility towards kids and I could start my career.
The biggest diet mistake people make at 40.
Turning vegan.
Okay. What's a healthy food that actually tastes amazing? I'll answer that. It's the laddus that I just ate at your house. They were too good.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I love my sattu
They're
laddus.
too good. So I had that good sandesh at your house and it was amazing. Why are you not selling this?
No, we are selling it. It's a brand called Mishta. And
What? What?
So it's called Mishta.
Guys, I have eaten a whole different variety of stuff at her house and I thought it's only for her and her family, but evidently it's not. And where can I order it from?
So it's on our website right now. We are going to soon be on Swiggy. It's called selfcareindia.com. And we also have healthy snacks and the vitamins, as I mentioned there. So why I came with Mishta is because 5 years ago I realized that the whole Indian culture was going towards macaroons and cakes and cupcakes and pastries. And I saw the nutritional content in them. And there was only sugar and butter and not
Maida.
the maida. Yeah. So I wanted to come out with and you know that our Indian desserts are actually really healthy.
Right.
So I wanted the young children, yeah, like my granddaughter loves Mishta, and that kind of
Oh, my kids are going to love it.
Yeah.
That stuff is so yum and when she told me the ingredients, I was like, what? I mean, that's totally going in my snack box. 100%.
Thank you so much. So I wanted to make a healthier version of Indian mithai without compromising the essence of the Indian mithai. Say, if you call it mamra laddu or chakki, badam ki chakki or pishta ki chakki or gur sandesh and kesariya sandesh, and then we have kaju katli. So everything in a laddu form and a healthier version without much additives, purest of the ingredient and the organic jaggery. That's all I have done. And it's available, as I mentioned there, and everything is less than 100 calories.
Wow.
And it's just a bite size, very good for children. As you know, the nuts are very good. The paneer, which Sandesh has, is excellent for children and for us and women. And these are all healthy mithai. And as a nutritionist, why I'm selling it? Because I want people to be aware that for their sweet indulgence, they can go for healthier versions rather than choosing the unhealthy versions of desserts.
Well, you found a customer in me forever.
Thank
for sure.
you. Thank you.
If you could only give one nutrition tip for women over 40, what would it be?
So nutrition tip, yeah, exercise every day and sleep well.
One wellness trend you secretly love.
So it's not a secret. I only love self-care wellness trend, which is
Amazing.
4X diet.
For?
X,
Ooh. What's your go-to stress buster?
Netflix.
Mine too. What's the most common nutrition question people ask you?
Yeah, the gluten is bad, right?
The one workout you think everyone should do at 40?
Strength training or Pilates or yoga.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it. If 40 was a superfood, what would it be?
Right now I'm on to yogurt.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, I wanted to say alcohol.
One thing you wish women in their 40s would stop worrying about?
Aging, enjoy life at 40s because it's not going to come back.
100%. I have learned that. I am completely acing my 40s. If you had to pick one supplement to take forever, just one, what would it be?
Glutathione.
Woohoo! Okay. What's your favorite healthy indulgence?
Bhel. I love bhel.
Healthy.
Oh, bhel is healthy.
Bhel is
Bhel
healthy.
is really healthy.
Wow. Okay, so I can eat bhel?
Yeah.
Guilt-free?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. A morning ritual you never skip.
Workout.
This needs to become my thing, my answer also. Soon.
So, if I have more time, I work out for an hour. If I have less time, I work out for 20 minutes. If I have least amount of time, 15 minutes.
But you don't miss it.
I try my best.
Fantastic. What's the biggest myth about aging that you want to bust?
It's all about skin, but it's actually internal. The aging is about your bone and your muscle and your internal body. That's what you have to capture.
Last question. If you had to describe your 40s in one word, what would it be?
Same as yours. Fantabulous 40s.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. So it was a great session, Simone.
Indeed.
And I thoroughly loved it. And
I look forward to many more conversations with you because it was great. The energy exchange was amazing.
Yes.
And the information I learned and gained today was fantastic. So thank you.
Yes. And I think you are very bubbly and cheerful, and that's why you have such a strong followership. And everyone looks up to you, and everyone wants to listen to you. And please keep spreading the good knowledge and the fun knowledge at the same time. And all the best to you in your life.
Thank you so much. Thank you.